Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the top team from PvPoke for the Hisui Cup. Yes, there's going to be for most of the normal leagues, not really a lot of times for the cups, but this time around it is actually for the cups. A tab in the training tab for PvPoke which shows you the top performers for this league as well as the top teams to use. And we're going to use the best team here basically. They recommend you normal Driftblim and normal Toxic Rogue, but of course you have the Shadow variants here. Sadly I don't have a Shadow Bastion yet, I'm definitely trying to get one. But sadly, didn't really get lucky with IVs yet, so it's going to take quite a bit most likely until I get one. But at least now it's a little bit easier to get. I think the last iteration for the Rocket Grunts was like 10% chance for the Rock-type Grunt to give you this Pokemon. Now I think it's a 30% chance, so it's a little bit easier at least. But first game here, we're going to be able to knock out the Frosses already. We're going to have a Driftblim in the back, and it's going to be amazing. As we're going to have our Bastion in the back. And interestingly enough, this team here was already on my list of teams that I kind of want to try out in the Hisui Cup anyway, and so I definitely kind of was looking forward to playing this team because I thought already it's most likely going to be a very good team to use, and I was definitely right. This team was a lot of fun to use, and I got up to a really high elo range as well. As you're going to be able to win the first game here, we can move on to the next one. Next opponent, we're going to have the Lucario in the lead. This is kind of a decent lead for us, especially as we're going to have Astonish still on our Driftblim doing a ton of damage, which you can see here already. Like, basically, we will not even be able to get to another charge move most likely because you can knock them out beforehand. But I actually swap out into my Toxic Rogue and I'm gonna get out the Gastrodon. That's something that you kind of have to do in general. Like, you have to use your Toxic Rogue as a safe swap because as soon as your Driftblim is gonna be gone, you're going to have some troubles against those Pokemon here. The opponent is going to let this move go through, and so we can realign. Let's see what is coming in here next. It is going to be the opponent's Bibarel, which is going to be amazing. As you're gonna see here already, we got a ton of damage onto them, and I can swap out now into my Bastion, and I don't really care much if they're gonna go for a charge move here. Don't really care about it. I expect them to swap out into the Lucario very soon, and they do not do this yet. So I can go for the Flamethrower. I know it's the worst move to go for, but I thought that they might want to swap out into the Lucario, which they're gonna do now. I can just go for the farm down. Even if they're gonna go for the bait, I'm fairly certain I can just get one more Astonish off, and this is going to be game already. This team was insanely fast to play as well, which is kind of cool, and again, if you have the normal variants of those Pokemon, it still should be really fine. So let's move on to the third game. Next opponent, we're going to have Magnezone. Horrific lead for you. What are you going to do here? You're going to stay in for one fast move and then swap out. Why one fast move? Because basically, the opponent usually is then already going for the next fast move already. And you get a ton of damage just by counter and the one Astonish onto the opponent, which is really cool to do. And so, like, I would recommend you to stay in for one Astonish and then swap out into your Toxic Rogue because you just do so much damage. Here I can even reach another charge move against the opponent. Why do I do this? Because I can either realign or I get the final shield. And getting the final shield allows me now to knock out the Magnezone with either a Flamethrower or the Mystical Fire. And so here I can just take advantage of the opponent's Driftblim, getting a ton of energy, and this is looking really good for us because, yeah, we can just get a ton of energy now, and they still need one more extra fast move to get to a Wild Charge with their Magnezone, which they're going to be able to do now, which is totally okay for me. I can use a shield here and just get the guaranteed knockout against them. Wild Charge is coming through, Flamethrower is going to get the knockout, and so we can align hopefully our Driftblim against whatever they have in the back. I decided to swap out immediately here most likely because we are debuffed. Let's see what it's going to be. It is going to be their own Driftblim, so I'd actually decide to stay in, which is the better play to go for. They're going to go still for a charge move here, but I just have to hope that my Driftblim is going to be able to knock out whatever they have in the back. Let's see what it's going to be. We have one extra fast move, and it's going to be a Frostless, and with this we can go for the Mystical Fire. Going to be a super effective damage, but is it enough to knock them out? It is not, but one more fast move is enough, and here the Shadow bonus really helped us out. Next opponent, we're going to have a Bastion in the lead, horrific lead 4, so we're going to swap out against the Bastion lead. I would swap into my own Bastion. Sadly, they're going to have a Torterra in the back. For Torterra, the thing is, this Pokemon is usually running Frenzy Plant plus Sand Tomb, and Sand Tomb going to allow it to basically, yeah, do a little bit more damage with the fast move as well, because Sand Tomb guarantees a defense drop here, which is a little bit annoying. But you kind of want to let the first move go through, and I make a mistake here. I most likely should have not used the shield here, because getting the shield advantage would have been most likely a little bit smarter. but I decided not to do this, and so I can get some damage onto them, but I barely get any energy basically now with my own Drifblim, which can be a little bit annoying. And of course, like, Frenzy Plant would be the hardest hitting move from the opponent, so it would have not really done a ton of damage. And I expected them to have a Grass Hole line here with Groddle in the back as well, which is kind of annoying to play against. Maybe, like, I could have also tried this team out as well. I think it's a kind of cool team to use, but of course a very toxic team to use as well. We can still go for another Mud Bomb to knock them out, and Toxicroak can still get a ton of damage onto the opponent. Here, if we had a normal Toxicroak, I think we would have been way better off, but we didn't. And so it's down to the Drifblim doing a ton of damage with Astonish actually, and we still are not out of the race yet. We can go for the Mystical Fire, which is going to get the attack drop onto them, and so we can just use a shield. Can we still reach another Mystical Fire in time though? We will find out shortly. We are going to be able to do exactly this. Is this going to be enough to knock them out? It's really close here, even though we kind of got hard-walled. No, it's not, and so we're sadly going to lose this game. Good game there to the opponent. Very toxic lineup, but we can move on to the next one. Next opponent, Cresselia in the lead. Kinda decent, kinda not decent at the same time. The issue is here we don't have Shadow Ball, and they still do a ton of damage against us with like something like a Future Sight. So I decided to let the shield up the first move here just in case it is a Future Sight. It was a Future Sight, and so we can just go for, yeah, the Ice Wind against the opponent. It's fairly likely that they're going to have something like double bite in the back or whatever. And honestly, I think I make a mistake here, but I'm not too sure. Never mind, I actually let this move go through. That's definitely the correct play to go for. They're gonna go for the Awkward Tail. I can still take this one. And now I can overfarm by quite a bit as well and go for either a Shadow Ball or maybe even for 2 Mud Bombs against the opponent's Cresselia. Let's see what we're gonna do here. We have 1 Mud Bomb stored here already. Should have most likely went for the Shadow Ball, but because I'm fairly certain that this is not going to, yeah, they're gonna knock us out here, so it's going to be a little bit annoying. We can at least align our Bastion, and with this, we, I think, still have some energy on our Drifblim. We still have the Cresselia here aligned against our Bastion, and I think we're going to be in a fairly decent spot. I try to get as much energy as possible here at this current state basically, but let's see if this is going to work out anyway. We're gonna see the opponent going for another Grass Knot, which is totally okay for us. And I'm fairly certain, like, no matter what they have in the back, we should be fine. It's going to be a Skuntank. And I actually swap out here, which maybe was not the ideal play to go for. But I thought, like, if they have another bite user in the back, it's most likely better to just swap out and try to get to another move. And we don't get to this next move. And this is going to be really annoying. Because, yeah, now they can still go for a Crunch here. They can use a shield. I cannot farm them down because they're not Shadow. If they were Shadow, it would have been way easier for us because we would have done more damage prior already as well. They luckily don't get the debuff here, but can we still win this game? It's a very long game already, but is Bastion enough to basically tank through the opponent? Let's find out here together. We will see a charge move coming through from the opponent as well. It's going to be the Grass Knot, and we can still try to go for the full farm down, and we can succeed with this. Next opponent, we're going to have a Gastrodon in the lead. Gastrodon in the lead is amazing for us as I swap out into the Empoleon. I am a little bit worried at this point. I can still go for a charge move, which is kind of decent because it guarantees us the knockout here. Or the shield, which is even better in my opinion. I think the shield is better for us because they do less damage than a Gastrodon does, and we can get at least 2 more counters in here, which is kind of nice. So maybe we can even reach another charge move against the Gastrodon, making the matchup a little bit easier for our Drifblim later on. We will find out now we cannot get to another move, but we can still swap out immediately into our Drifblim, trying to basically get up some energy so he can debuff whatever comes back in, and it's going to be a Bastion from the opponent. Allowing us to go for the Mystical Fire now makes the matchup for our own Bastion way easier. This is not the matchup that you really want to see most likely because, yeah, it is just very long and boring. But it is definitely a very favorable matchup for us now thanks to the debuff, because we definitely do 1 more damage with our fast move already, and the opponent barely does any damage with their charge move either. And for them, basically, they want to store as much energy as possible and try to align later on the Gastrodon against our Bastion, but let's see if this is going to work out for the opponent. Because I decided to go for a charge move here, you see on the right side the switch clock is nearly up already, which is going to be kind of nice for us. And we can try to swap out here, we can still get 2 extra fast moves in, but now I should be able to hopefully survive 2 moves from the opponent. It's going to be still a very close matchup here. Earth Power is coming through, but it's not going to be enough. We can still try to go for the full farm on here. Is this going to be a Body Slam? Hopefully it is, because otherwise you're going to have a problem here. It is just the Body Slam, and so Mystical Fire is coming through. Gonna get the debuff no matter what they want to do here, and so they're going to be in such a bad spot that they just decide to forfeit here anyway. And we can move on to the next game. Another great lead for us as they swap out into their bite user here with the Drapion. I can try to go for the Mud Bomb immediately because it's going to guarantee us either a shield or the switch advantage, and both of them I will be able to take here. So let's see what they're going to do. They're going to use a shield, so I use a shield here. If they go for Awkward Tail, this would be a little bit annoying, but they're going to go for Felt Stinger, which I kind of expected here as well, but I can just go for the full farm down. They're going to go back into their Gastron. I can go for 2 fast moves no matter what they're going to do with their Gastron here anyway. I don't get to the Shadow Ball, so I'm forced to go for the Mud Bomb, but this is still great for us as we're going to get the opponent fairly low. I can swap immediately into my Drifblim, gaining a little bit of energy. I can go for my next charge move as well, debuffing the opponent's Shadow Skunk Tank in the back, and with this I can swap out into my Bastion and just win the game as I decide to forfeit. Next opponent coming through, another Gastron lead, and this is something why I think that the Drifblim lead currently is one of the best Pokemon that you could choose. Here, they actually are running the Drapion with Poison Sting, which is a little bit more annoying. Maybe it would have been better to go into my Bastion in this case, but here I should have went for the charge move immediately. I kind of was not really thinking ahead there. Definitely would have helped us out a little bit in this matchup if I just went straight Mud Bomb, because then the opponent would have been forced to use either a shield or basically, yeah, would get the knockout there, which would have been nice without us using a shield. But as you're gonna see, they're gonna swap back into the Gastron. Can we go for the Shadow Ball? We cannot, and so I'm forced to go for the Mud Bomb. But we're still going to be having the advantage now that I can go for a debuff against whatever they have in the back. In this case, it's going to be a Bibarel, allowing me to go for the Icy Wind. Icy Wind and Mystical Fire is the same move basically with different typings, so it does not really matter what you're gonna go for. Both of them going to be resisted. Now depends on Bastion, and if Bastion going to be able to beat the Bibarel, even though they have super effective damage the entire way, we have at least the debuff onto the opponent's side, which is going to be very, very beneficial for us. We can let the next move go through. We can still see that we can still survive this. I can just go for the charge move. There is no timing here with Smackdown basically. They're gonna get the shield from the opponent, and you will also see them swapping out into the Gastron and again knocking us out, making this matchup a little bit more annoying. I'm forced to basically stay in here as well and just like let the move go through, because they're still going to have a Surf stored. They're going to go for the Earth Power. I can still go for the full farm down, but is it going to be enough to knock them out as well? They're going to go straight for the charge move. I tried to go for a shield here and also tried to go for the CMP tie Icy Wind. Not too sure if this is going to help us out, but we're going to take less damage now, as the opponent is actually going to get farmed down by Astonish, which is absolutely wild as they are a normal type. Next opponent, we're going to have a Magnezone in the lead, and again, here that's most likely one of the earlier battles I did. I would recommend you again to go for one Astonish and then swap onto your Toxicroak, getting them already into like around like half health range, which is really good for the rest of your team as well, because you have a lot of hard-hitting fast moves on this team. Counter, Astonish, and Smackdown are very hard-hitting, so if you're gonna get like a squishy Pokemon like the Bastion already that, like the Magnezone already that low, Bastion the most squishiest Pokemon ever, honestly. Literally, they're known for the squishiness. You see it here as well. Bastion, the most squishiest Pokemon you will ever see in the Go Battle League. Look at the squish here. It is literally nearly dead already from the Shadow Ball, from the Frost Slice now. But of course, yeah, Magnezone is not really appreciating the Smackdown or the Astonish either. We will see here as well that we're going to have the shield still, and we can go for the knockout against the Magnezone. Goodbye there. Let's see what they're going to have in the back afterwards. Or do we see it anyway? It's going to be a Drifblim. They decide to forfeit. So, horrific lead, we still came back and got actually a great result with this. Here we want to see one of the issues with the IV spread that I have on my Drifblim. I actually have a really, really good Shadow IV spread basically for the Drifblim. You have both Astonished here, my opponent as well as I do. And here's the thing as well, which kind of annoys me a little bit, because I kind of knew that the opponent has most likely a very similar team that I have here as well. And so what kind of annoys me in this scenario is that I could have maybe swapped into my Bastion already, which I didn't do then there, but I should have maybe went straight into my Toxicroak, and I also should have not went for this charge move here. Because at this point, they can't just let this move go through, and they have their own Toxicroak in the back, allowing them to farm us down, especially with the IV speed of my Toxicroak. I have a little bit of a better one that I could build eventually, but I'm most likely going to build this one for the Ultra League anyway. So, yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a trickier one, as they can still go for a charge move, but this game is not over yet. And I was hoping at this point that the opponent does not know how much energy I really have. I know that I can still survive a buffed Mud Bomb, but Mud Bomb got buffed like 3 seasons ago or whatever already. But as you're gonna see here, they can catch the move if I didn't go for the charge move here, but it was a little bit too risky. Like if I wait out, the opponent gets another counter and the game was over, so Well played by the opponent, could have went kinda either way, so that's going to be fine. Here again, we're gonna go for one fast move, and then we're gonna go into the Toxic Croak, and you see already the damage output is insane. We're gonna put them basically into the red health as they're gonna swap out now, and they're gonna get the attack drop, which is really annoying. But I can still reach another Shadow Ball here, trying to get the shield from the opponent. They don't use a shield, which is amazing for me because I get a ton of damage onto them, and I still reach another Mud Bomb afterwards, allowing us to actually get the shield. And with this, the opponent is like perfectly into farmland range for my Bastion, and this is literally perfect setup. We're gonna see the future set coming in because I thought that I would go back into my Driftblim, but I didn't because it's even a more dominant matchup for us. As Grass Knot is not going to do any damage, I can get a ton of energy here, one away basically for another charge move, but I decided to swap out here as the opponent has their Frosters in the back, and at this point I know this game is over. Like, the opponent has nowhere to go. If they're going to use the shield here, that's totally fine. I can just let the move go through from the opponent as well. They're gonna go for the CMP tide, totally okay for me. I'm still going to have the flamethrower stored in the back, so it doesn't really matter what they're going to do here. I can just go for the full farm down. And I think at this point they also realize, yeah, this is going to be a game here because the Shadow Ball does not do damage, and they're going to decide to forfeit now. And yeah, we got up to like 3,121, so definitely high Elo range. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I see you in the next one. Bye bye.